The price is $89 for a single sweatshirt. Why?
11-year-old girls, they are obsessed with this one sweatshirt brand.
Okay.
It is called Pink Palm Puff.
It was just so clear that, this was the it sweatshirt. And so I did a little bit of digging because it's like, where does this come from? And was kind of delighted to learn that it has a teen founder.
For Pink Palm Puff too, our unboxing moment is another huge thing for the brand. Not to compare it to Apple, but it's kind of the similar unboxing experience.
Hi, and welcome to the Well Spent podcast by Business Insider. I'm Katie Natopoulos. I'm a reporter here at Business Insider. I cover tech and culture and business.
And my name is AC Fowler. I'm also a reporter here at BI, covering luxury goods, expensive things.
So this is a podcast all about why we buy things and how we buy things, why we want the things that we buy. And I'm really excited to get into some of this stuff with you guys. It is called Pink Palm Puff. And it's like the hoodie.
First off, great name. Honestly,
yes,
fantastic.
yes.
Fantastic name. Since I'm kind of new to the subject, can you show me what these things look like? Because
Okay.
I need to know what they look like and also how much they cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how much? Well,
Oh, I just saw the price.
you just saw this right. So, AC, will you say the price?
Okay, the price is $89 for a single sweatshirt. Why? It's the tariffs. No, I'm just kidding.
Would you pay $89 for a high quality hoodie?
I wouldn't want to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to really get a sense of
Yeah.
what is making it cost this much. I've never spent $90 on a hoodie though. I will say that.
Okay. Okay. And I actually learned about this in a really funny way here at work. Someone, I think on our business sales side, who is a parent, was talking in our Slack channel. Somebody was asking about a present for a niece or somebody. They needed a present for somebody and they didn't have kids. And she was like, "Oh, the thing that's really hot with girls right now is Pink Palm Puff." And I was like, "Do? What's that?"
You're a good reporter. Your antennas
Tell
are always
me more.
up.
I'm like, "Oh, let me." And then once I Googled that, I was like, "Oh my God, this is really."
That's so interesting.
Such I was seeing video after video on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube of these young tween and teen girls showing off their hoodies and talking about how awesome they were. I was seeing on Facebook because kids aren't on Facebook, right? It's all their moms. There's a Facebook group for Pink Palm Puff, but it's all the moms talking. And I noticed that there was something really weird, but they were all complaining too that they were accidentally ordering a dupe and they didn't mean to.
Gosh.
That's
kind of how you know you've made it. If there's a dupe of your product.
Yeah, there was a scam. There were multiple scam sites where they would, the true URL is pinkpalmpuff.com, but someone had squatted the Pink Palm Puff or, pinkpalmpuffhoodie.com. And they were selling, and they actually, some of the people received a product. So I think they were doing actually drop ship from China of really cheap versions of it. Yeah. But so I was like, oh, whoa, this is a huge thing. And I was like, I have to find out more. Yeah. I have to talk to the person writing this because at first I just thought, oh, this is it's the hot thing for kids. Yeah. And then I learned that the person who created it is actually 17 years old.
No way. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
So it is for teens by teens.
Exactly. FTBT.
Is amazing. So this young girl in Canada, Lily Balaisis, she created this brand. Wow. And it's her company. She is the CEO. And she's created this amazingly successful product. And she's leveraged the internet a lot to sell this. I mean, it wasn't like she pivoted from some other clothing company. She started when she was 15 or something. And so we are going to be speaking to Lily today. And we're also going to be speaking to Casey Lewis, who is a youth trends researcher, forecaster, expert. She runs an amazing Substack called After School. And I'm so excited to talk about all this.
That's awesome. All right. I mean, I'm absolutely fascinated by this. We got to talk to Lily. So we're going to do that coming up next.
Lily Balaisis, CEO, founder of Pink Palm Puff. Thank you so much for joining us. Lily, where in the world are you right now? You're joining us by Zoom. So where are you?
Well, thank you for having me. Right now, I'm at my home in Ontario, Canada. And right now I'm in my room, as you can see, lots of ping pong puff.
I love it. This is a beautiful bedroom. I love that you've got the palm tree neon, and that's the logo for Pink Pom Puff. Yes. And you're wearing a Pink Pom Puff hoodie,
as one must.
Of course.
Yes, of course. Always repping, always repping.
So tell us a little bit about the origin story of Pink Pom Puff. How did you, a young person, end up making this particular clothing brand that really has blown up, and kids are all across the country, across the world, all like know about this?
So I feel like when I was 15, I was, I still am, but I was very motivated. So I was excited to create something. And at the time, I knew I wanted to create a business. I wasn't sure at the time exactly what I wanted. I was initially thinking about a skincare brand, but that just didn't work out because logistically it was too complicated to start in the beginning. But I looked in my closet. I saw that I had so many hoodies. So I feel like as a 15-year-old who loved hoodies, who loved fashion, that was a great and attainable starting point for me. And I think like that just worked so well at the point in time in my life. And yeah, it was something that I was truly passionate about.
And even before, let's say before it took off, was it the kind of thing where you're like, I'm onto something here. I know this is special. Like did you make your first hoodie and you're like, oh, we're onto something?
Yeah, well, I actually had a TikTok account that I had established before I had my brand. And I actually posted my first prototype there. And I feel like I love the hoodie, but once I posted that and like all of my people that were following me from before saw it and like were giving me so many like positive comments and so much positive reinforcement, I feel like that really made me feel like excited about a product.
So you mentioned that you opened your closet and you had tons of hoodies in there. And what is it about? I mean, hoodies have been popular since I was a teenager in middle school.
Just the other day.
I mean, very recently. But what is it that it does feel like right now is this moment where like it really is a huge thing? What do you think it is about hoodies and your customer base, and also specifically the Pink Pom Puff hoodie, that makes it work so well?
So I feel like definitely teenagers, I guess you could say from the tween range to teenagers, everyone loves to just be comfy. So I feel like even for like Pink Pom Puff, for example, the hoodies are comfy, but they're also cute. And I know you've mentioned this in your past article. There's no drawstrings. You can see that here.
This is very important.
Yeah.
I learned this from Lily, is that like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they think strings are not cool.
Oh,
they don't want the strings in their hoodie. No, strings
when
are
I was
out.
in like middle school and high school, I was always biting them. So maybe this is like, it's a better look overall.
Everyone was like, ew, who's the kid who bites the strings all day?
That was me.
Yeah, something about the look with no strings. It's just cleaner, more functional aesthetic.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the colors, because one thing that I've seen a lot of other young people on TikTok when they're talking about the Pink Pop hoodie is that it's part of this preppy aesthetic. And that term has a very different meaning than it does to maybe me and AC. But describe what you and other teenagers consider preppy.
I feel like, yeah, definitely there's a completely different generation of preppy. As you mentioned, like Gen Alpha and Gen Z have a different view, and I would say it's mostly orientated around colors. So for example, this like bright pink, I would say very preppy, like this little palm tree, very preppy. But yeah, like as you just hit the mark there, yeah, very colorful. I would say even I would consider coastal designs to be preppy. So there is honestly some factors of like old preppy that I would say ties back in. And honestly, I think old preppy in our generation, old preppy, I mean by like white colors, navy, is coming back. So I feel like I've also incorporated that into like current Pink Pom Puff designs. You hit the mark on bright colors. And for example, brands like Love Shack Fancy and Aviator Nation are, I would say, pinpoints to the preppy aesthetic as well for reference.
I have a question just sort of about, what makes the hoodie so special? Like, obviously, people are willing to pay for it. It's $89. It's clearly, for teens and tweens, something that they're saying this is worth it. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes the hoodie as a product special and different from, the hoodie I picked up from Target the other day?
Sure. Yeah, so teens these days, like if you were to ask them what makes a hoodie like what makes it special, they have this like phrase. It's like what makes a hoodie, or like what makes, for example, was a t-shirt, like what makes like I don't know how to describe it, but anyways, I would say for a Ping Pong Puff hoodie, the quality is just from the beginning, it was always my priority, but and for like any future in the brand, always a priority. But the top quality that we can possibly get, the comfiest fabrics, top craftsmanship, but especially for a Ping Pong Puff hoodie, a lot of the designs have large scale embroidery. For Ping Pong Puff, too, our unboxing moment is another huge thing for the brand, as I've seen people like even collect the boxes. And even throughout all the individual product lines I have, there's another box. And I would say, not to compare it to Apple, but it's kind of the similar unboxing experience. And I might have one in my room here. Wait, let's see. But yeah, for each product line, I have a different box. So for example, for pajamas, I had a different box. For the hoodies, of course, I have the classic box, which has the sun and ocean motif and design. This one was for, swimwear. As you can see, I have like a little custom
That's cute.
swimwear. Isn't that cute? Like it even has like the little detail, because our swimwear has like a little charm. We included
wow.
that. So I feel like, yeah, just paying attention to the details on the specific launches, especially when it comes to Ping Pong Puff diversifying into different product lines. I always make sure to include a unique boxing experience.
Right. Yeah. And so there's all these videos of girls being so excited to get them and open them up, and, the unboxing moment. And that ties into something that I think that you have leveraged so well, which is being able to sort of harness the power of the internet to really drive these sales. And this really is, you don't have physical stores. These are not sold at the mall. This is purely an organic, like, internet phenomenon that spread. Can you tell a little about how you sort of got the ball rolling, and how you were able to sort of like seed this out, and then obviously it just grew on its own?
As I mentioned before, I had a TikTok account that was my personal account that was fashion inspiration, and really just sharing not my life, but my fashion. And it was also like a faceless account. But meanwhile, from that account, I actually had connections with some influencer friends. So, for example, my best friend, Kenzie Yolis, she was one of the main influencers to promote my brand and really get the word out there. So I feel like a combination of influencers that I had knew in the beginning of my account, combined with my own promotion that I made on this initial account, really just helped the ball get rolling. And from there, the Ping Pong Puff community just really grew. And it was awesome, because I feel like, yeah, it was just a mix of everyone talking about it, being excited about it, and just really that like sense of girlhood and like a sense of community. And just, I feel like that really propelled the brand.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like you had your TikTok account, you had friends who were influencers and things like that, but there's so many brands that try to tap into the influencer sort of circles and things that just don't pop off. So why do you think this became so viral?
So I feel like initially it made it easier, because I feel like people genuinely liked the product, and it was something that was high quality. It was something that they truly loved, and especially I feel like once, as you said, like once the first influencers started posting about it, it was something so desirable that I didn't really have to convince other influencers to, or I didn't have to convince any other influencers to post. They just wanted to, because they saw other people posting about it. So I guess you could say it was kind of a snowball effect from there. And I feel like the problem, like as you said, with other brands, they kind of have to convince other people or other influencers to post their product. But for me, it was definitely kind of natural, and like the interest just kind of grew by itself, where I had influencers with millions of followers who were DMing me, like even early in the early stages of the brand, when it was, I would say, influencer roster of maybe about 5 people were still reaching out to me for products, which was really cool to see, and really cool to see how people loved it, honestly.
So obviously you have the hoodie, you launched pajamas in the winter, I think just after holiday. In the spring, summer, you launched a swimwear line. What's next?
So right now, we just currently launched a new hoodie in collaboration with Embry Cortland. And we're seeing like such a strong engagement with her fan base and the Ping Pong Puff supporters and family, as I feel like our two brands really resonated with each other well. So exciting.
I have one last question, which is, as I'm trying to figure out, I've just learned about Ping Pong Puff. I am not the target demographic, you might have noticed. But I'm learning it from Katie's reporting, from this conversation. I want to give our audience an understanding of just how rabid the fan base can be, how excited people are about these hoodies. Do you have a story to tell just about like what's like one of the, I don't know, most wild things that you've seen in terms of like people really trying to get their hands on a product or something like that?
So our first event, I guess you could call event, but we had a gifting. Well, it was announced that we had a gifting event at our Toronto headquarters. I simply made a story post about it, and it was honestly insane to see in real life because I told, I guess I told the Ping Pong Puff community that I would be giving away hoodies at random times at this one day, and I said I was only giving around 10 hoodies. And at 9 a.m., a line formed all the way down Queen Street West in Toronto for, I would say, maybe about a block. But it was crazy because when we started giving away hoodies, you just saw the crazy engagement. And it was just so cool to see everyone come out to see, I guess you could say, Ping Pong Puff in real life the first time. But it was so cool to see all the fan engagement. And even like the crowds, it did create a little bit of controversy where many news articles were posting about it. And there was some viral TikToks talking about how it was chaos and it was not, I mean, it was,
I've seen the videos. There was a big crowd.
Okay,
it was like a big crowd of like
Unreal.
teenage girls being like,
Give me one of those. Give me one of those sweatshirts.
Yeah, it was wild. And you've definitely had like when, especially like around, near the holidays, I mean, your stuff sells out really fast, right?
Definitely you see that in the product drops that Ping Pong Puff has, because we set a drop at a specific time, a specific day, and that's kind of when everyone hops on the website, purchases the product, and whenever we do launch a new product or a new design or a new style, or I want to say, any new product, you definitely see everyone getting excited about it, jumping at the site, and definitely see sellouts as well.
And how do you handle the pressure as like a young person? Like, it's a lot of pressure to be like, I don't know, it's a lot of pressure just to be 17, like, to just exist on planet Earth,
literally.
right? It's hard to be a teen. There's a lot going on in, your life, decisions about, what you're going to do after high school and things like that, and schoolwork, and a social life. And then on top of that, you're running this huge business. So how do you handle the pressure with all that?
Yeah, so I feel like for Ping Pong Puff, definitely just along with having a business, of course, there's gonna be some stress on you, but I feel like it does help because I truly love what I do, and even like through all the pressure and like all of the hiccups throughout the journey, like I still truly love it. But yeah, definitely, I would say I do experience some stress. So, for example, this upcoming fall, I'm gonna need to start applying for universities, so that's another thing. But yeah, I feel like especially as it grows, I just have to adapt to the stress, adapt to the pressure. And honestly, like I wouldn't have it any other way. So I can say it is stressful, but I do love it. And like I have a very good, strong support system. I have two best friends that absolutely love and awesome supportive family. So that's all I can ask for.
Lily, thank you so much again. We loved talking to you. It is a delight, and thank you for zooming in all the way from Canada.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome. I feel like I learned so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Our next guest is Casey Lewis, who is the author of the After School Substack newsletter. The newsletter is all about youth trends, youth culture, youth shopping, youth consumer. I love reading it. It's one of the Substacks that I open like every single time it gets in my inbox, which I don't do with everything. I'm so excited to talk to you. Casey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Casey, you were on the Ping Pong Puff hoodie train early on. You noticed this very early. Can you tell us a little bit about how you observed that this was something that was bubbling up? And like, what tipped it from like a thing you vaguely saw to like, oh, this is kind of a thing?
So I've been writing the newsletter for 4.5 years, and each year around Christmas time, I'll spend truly like an entire day watching TikToks, both Christmas wish lists. So girls compile their wish lists and share them on TikTok. And then also following the holiday, they will share their Christmas hauls. So the Pink Pom Pump sweatshirt was topping everyone's Christmas wish list. It struck me, you see something over and over again, and I'm a millennial. I'd never heard of it, but it was just so clear that, this was the it sweatshirt. And so I did a little bit of digging because it's like, where does this come from? And was kind of delighted to learn that it has a teen founder. And of course it does, that's why it's hit such a nerve.
So I do think that it's so fascinating the way that that TikTok and also Instagram and YouTube Shorts has played such a role in spreading around like how this brand has, come to exist. And that including that you noticed it because one of the ways that people spread it is that they are making they're making these wish list or then after Christmas, like, here's what I got videos, which is so interesting because, like, those are really often just totally organic. Like, they're not paid influencers or anything. They're truly just teens, like, being like, I want this item, right?
Yeah, and it's like, it's very much like a signal to others. Something that's so interesting. I mean, you're a millennial, Katie.
Yeah, we're all millennials here.
We're all millennials. Okay. So, I grew up in rural Missouri. And so this signaling then was like very specific to my community because it was cut off from, cool culture.
Yeah.
The inputs came via teen magazines and like MTV. And so for us, signaling was like, when I was a kid, Tommy Hilfiger, probably for you guys too. But now it's like this, because of TikTok and other social media, everyone sort of has the same identifiers or signals that they're showing. So a cool girl in rural Missouri might want the same sweatshirt as a cool girl in Brooklyn. And it didn't used to be like that because TikTok has just, the distribution of these trends is so different.
It's funny. Just this morning, I saw on social media like a scan of like an old 17 magazine from probably the 90s or the 2000s, and they used to have this thing that I totally remember it being. I think it was 17, and it might have been like Teen Vogue. It might have been YM or one of those. I think it was 17, where it was like school report, and it was just like, here's pictures of the kids in like a random school somewhere in the country, and like they would find a couple of the kids and like maybe do like a miniature, like what's cool in your school, and like take pictures of their clothing. And like there were, these differences of regional flavors, and, what was cool in one school was, hyper specific. And I wonder if like, do you think that that's kind of gone?
So I will say, so that was the school zone section in 17.
Okay.
I still have all of my
exactly
teen
what you're
magazines.
talking about.
I've been obsessed with teen culture, like literally since I was a teen, and I just like never overcame that sort of obsession with what's happening. And I think part of that is because like young people are figuring out their identities more so than anyone else. So they're just so quick to try different aesthetics, different trends, but so I do think in some cases there is a flattening in that everyone wants the same things. But on the other hand, I think that I've been doing a bunch of research interviewing Gen Alphas about what life is like and what they want. And in these conversations with different kids, it is clear that different schools have different signifiers. So I talked to a girl yesterday, she's in Georgia, and you wouldn't want to be caught dead in a dupe. Which is so interesting because New York Magazine did a package a couple of years ago about how dupes were a flex. And I do think in some places a dupe doesn't mean uncool. But like at her school, if you showed up in a Lululemon Define jacket dupe, you would be dragged mercilessly. And so I do think, just as with any other age group, your town, your school, there are specific sort of local signals.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I want to talk a little bit more about the price. Something that I heard about around the discourse about like the Stanley Cup, for example, is that in times when families are feeling strapped, they like go for these things that are luxury, so more expensive versions of what you might normally buy, but they're not so expensive that you can't actually afford it. So like a Stanley Cup is more expensive than your normal water bottle, but I can afford it
Yeah,
anyway.
it's still $30. It's not.
This kind of feels somewhat like that. I wonder if you think that that's playing into why this is taking off now, the current economic conditions, if it fits into that context.
Definitely. I also think similar to the Stanley is the Touchland like cool hand sanitizer, which is like $15 for a very small hand sanitizer. Is that expensive for hand sanitizer? Yes. But in this grand scheme of things, is $15 not that much? I mean, it's hard to buy a Starbucks drink costs $15. And so I do think it's sort of all the same. And I think what you're touching on too with it being a sweatshirt, there's comfort in that. Like sweatshirts are trendy right now. Having like a cool hoodie is a trend among especially young people. And so I think that's part of it too.
Can you describe for our listeners, viewers, what the hand sanitizer is if they're not familiar with this being like a teen lust object?
Yeah, I would say imagine Stanley tumbler, but make that a hand sanitizer. So they're like very cute, colorful, kind of a sleek package that almost looks like an Apple product designer could have made it. And they come in all different kinds of scents, sort of like Bath and Body Works-esque in their different scents. And they've become like the it hand sanitizer, like a school flex.
This is really interesting for me to know because I've recently become a person who's started carrying hand sanitizer around, and I thought that made me old. But it's nice to know that teens are really into hand sanitizers. I feel very cool and young right now, so good to know.
So, in terms of the Pink Pom Puff hoodie, like what makes it stand out from other sweatshirt brands, in your opinion? What do you think made young people like gravitate towards it? Like, what made it work instead of
a billion
some
other
products
yeah,
like
that
other
people want
hoodies
to be
out
cool
there.
and viral. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time trying to understand this broadly, but especially specifically this sweatshirt. And it is very eye-catching. There's no question that that's a Pink Pom Puff sweatshirt, although I'm sure there are dupes now. But it for those who haven't seen it, it has like a heavily embroidered back. It's very surf vibes, almost like PacSun-ish. And I think that it sort of evokes almost like a Roxy Quicksilver girl from way back then. It doesn't exist anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
We know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah. But I will say, I think the embroidery is clearly seems high quality. I haven't seen one up close in person. I haven't like actually touched it, but embroidery does seem like one of those things where it's kind of hard to fake it. And I also think the color, she gets the colors right. Like Katie, you're kind of wearing Pink Pom Puff.
I did that on
today.
purpose for this.
So on theme.
But the colors are really rich and like really, they make you feel summery and like you should be surfing on an island. And I think the time that the time of the year that these sweatshirts first sort of like started bubbling up was just before the holidays. And so I do think there's like a nice like summer vacation escapism that wearing them kind of brings you.
So one thing that I imagine plays into why this took off and became really viral is some of the choices around how they decided to market. How important do you think that was in terms of this really becoming a thing for teen girls?
The rise of TikTok has really led to like outsized importance placed on unboxings. And that could be even just going to the mall and getting a beautiful shopping bag. There's something really interesting with back to school where everyone is getting the bag from every single store they're going into. And some of these brands are really playing into it with like cutesy bags, special edition bags. But the same goes for unboxings with online.
I wonder if, in my mind, I was like, now that so many places, like, you don't get a bag or,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you're discouraged. That getting a bag with your purchase feels, like, extra luxurious,
Yeah, it's funny. When I did back to school shopping with my mom, so I'm from rural Missouri, and we would go to St. Louis 2 hours away, like once a year. And I remember we would just cram everything into like the biggest bag. It would be like an Old Navy bag that would have like maybe my cargo mini skirt from Hollister and my baby tee from Abercrombie. And it would all be like stuffed into one bag just for like the convenience of it. You don't want to have 15 bags. But now when you add TikTok and hauls and unboxings into it, you want to hold up the bag and the Hollister bag and then pull out the skirt. And so it's like the shopping really isn't the point. The haul or the unboxing for social media is the point.
I know we talked a lot about sort of the TikTok of it all. One thing I also know that Pink Palm Puff does is they will also do like limited releases and things like that. And that seems like a strategy that other brands have used before, something like Supreme. How important is it, that aspect of it, in terms of becoming really popular, creating a sort of hype around a product?
So you're totally right in that this is like the key Supreme drop model. But I have in the last year or two seen a sort of backlash from younger consumers when it comes to that limited run. People feel excluded. And Set Active is another one who employs that strategy a lot. And there's sort of resentment around not being able to get, there's a sense of like, I've been supporting this brand. I, out of anyone, deserve to get this limited run item because I am their biggest fan or support them or part of their Facebook group or what have you. And then I couldn't get it. And it speaks less to like the cool exclusivity of the limited run and more to like, get your supply chains fixed. And so there has been like a bit of a shift in the consumer mindset around that. I do still think it does work. Like we've seen it work with Rode. It's worked with countless, but there is this sort of undercurrent of like
drop fatigue.
WTF.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm imagining a 13-year-old saying, get your supply chain fixed.
But I think it also, it sort of makes sense if it's like, it was cool when Supreme did it and it was like, these really niche brands that have a very specific audience and a very specific thing. And now it's like everything is doing drop. Like does it as like the drop method where it's like, it's a limited thing and we're like, it'll sell out in a few minutes kind of thing instead of,
yeah, that
normal.
Makes so much sense.
I can imagine how like that is frustrating as a shopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right. There's like drop fatigue when there's so many brands employing the same strategies. I do think, Pink Palm Puff, if they're only doing these limited run drops very here once a year or something like that, then I think that that's okay. But the second it starts to become a regular occurrence, consumers are so smart these days. They spend a lot of time on TikTok. They're just extremely aware of like how the world works. And so I think it's really hard to like pull a fast one on them.
Yeah. I do think with the Pink Palm Puff, just because it's such a brand new company, that the fact that it sold out so quickly in certain colors was truly just, it sold out faster. Yeah. They sold more than they expected.
I'm wondering if, something like that sprouts up seemingly overnight like Pink Palm Puff, do these types of trends have just a set sort of viral life, or are there certain things that a CEO like Lily can do to keep the brand feeling fresh for a long, long time to come?
If I were her, I would not take on any outside funding. I would keep the business small and sustainable and keep this sort of exclusivity around it. I wouldn't sell into stores. I think that part of their appeal is that it is somewhat hard to get or something somewhat, if you know, but then the nature of scaling a business is then making your product more accessible. So I guess it depends what her particular goals are. If she wants to have like a clothing empire with many different styles, then, I think it's fine to scale. It will be very interesting to see how she continues to evolve beyond the sweatshirt. I know she's done pajamas, swimsuits, things like that. But right now, teens are obsessed with sweats and that sort of baggy, comfortable look. That's not going to last forever. We know that all trends are fickle and cyclical. And so what's the next thing? There's going to be a moment where they wake up and they realize that they don't want to wear hoodies that are 3 sizes too big for them. So yeah, if I were Lily too, I would just make sure I think that she's been able to build the business she has because she's serving herself as a customer. She understands what people like her want. So if she can keep evolving in that way, I think she'll be golden.
So in the case of Pink Palm Puff, how do you think influencers, posting about it, how much influence did that have?
I think a lot. I think what Pink Palm Puff has been able to achieve, well, part of it is you give a cool 17-year-old the reins to run a company. She's going to know the right influencers to send her product to. She's also going to know the best ways to get the product in hand. because she is her target audience. Most companies can't hire a 17-year-old, a cool girl 17-year-old. But I think that is part of the success, is the influencer seeding business is crazy and it's not new, but when you execute it right, which she has, it's so effective. And I think, what she's done specifically is she's sending it to people who we don't know. Like, we don't know these cool high school girls. The way that online fame works now, it's like, a 17-year-old girl could tell you the 10 most famous people on her FYP. They're probably names that we've never heard of, because it's just, it's different.
Yeah.
And so, but it's like they have their own language in a way. And so I think that it has been part of the success.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely, every now and then I will stumble across someone who's like a young teen influencer or something, and I'll see they have a huge amount of followers, and I'm like, I'm not sure what they do. I've never heard of this person. Like, what's going on?
Who is this person?
Yeah, and it is totally, I do think that it was like, because she was already so plugged into this world of like preppy girl influencers, like it truly was so like genuine and organic, the way that like she made a product that she wanted because that's what she liked, and she made a thing she wanted to wear, and that she thought her friends would want to wear, and that like, I think that ultimately like meant a lot, and that she cares about this like online ecosystem of like who the famous people that an adult would never know.
Yeah, and I know, Casey, you mentioned like this idea of gifting isn't brand new. We did an interview with the CEO of Canada Goose, my team, earlier this year, and they were talking about how they never did any traditional marketing. But really what you see is like when those coats started to sort of be considered luxury, what they had started doing was gifting to film sets, showing up at film festivals. And so you start seeing a lot more celebrities wearing the coat. And so it's kind of a similar strategy, but sort of retrofitted to today to make sense. And that seems to be something that Lily has done really, really well.
Yeah. Embedding oneself within a niche community. In the case of Canada Goose, it is on film sets. In the case of this, it's cool teen girls in mid-America.
This has been a fascinating talk. Everyone, check out her newsletter, afterschool.substack.com. It's a great newsletter. If you liked what Casey was talking about, there's like a billion more things that every time I open it, I learn something new. And I love to, I feel cool when I'm talking about what I read in After School. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. This was so fun.
AC, we have a game.
Okay, exciting.
So this is called The Price is Wrong.
Okay.
And the concept here is that I have a bunch of items. And
I feel like the price and I will be wrong.
And you're going to guess the price.
Okay, great.
And unlike The Price is Right, there's no real rules to this. Like if you go above or below, just do your best. Just do your best.
I'll do my best.
We're going to figure out if you can guess the price of these items. So we've been talking about an $89 Pink Pom Puff hoodie sweatshirt. So I want to see if you can guess some of the other fancy teen sweatshirt items out there and what their prices might be. All right, so we're going to start with White Fox hoodie.
Okay.
And I guess it was the set. It was like, it came with matching sweatpants.
Okay.
This is just the hoodie, though.
Okay, so just the hoodie.
If you were going to get the set, the pants, are sold separately.
Okay, I'm seeing that there's like a decal on the back.
Okay.
So that's, similar. Yeah. I don't know if it's embroidered. Can't tell that.
I think it's just printed.
Okay, cool. It's going to be hard because I can't feel it. So I don't, know necessarily.
It's basically just a hoodie,
but
right?
it looks cool and trendy.
Yeah, it
so
says the brand name on it. It says White Fox.
Okay, I'm going to guess lower than Pink Pom Puff. So I'm going to say $50.
Ooh, that's pretty close. It is $69.99. Okay, so it's lower than Pink Pom Puff. I mean, it's
okay.
cheaper. It's a deal compared. And you know what? To be fair, I think when I was on the website, there might have been like some discount. This did not include any discounts or deals. This is list price. All right, the next one is a brand called Mad Happy. Now, I heard about this because my friend who has a 13-year-old girl told me that this is what she's really into, and that he went into a store with her and he was like, "What?" So I will warn you that he was very offended by the price.
Helpful. That's helpful information.
That he saw this in a retail store, and So describe a little just what this looks like.
Okay, it's super plain.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that it has a little like decal around the hood.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I could see teens going a little crazy for. Like, this is my mad happy
Yeah.
hoodie.
So it's basically just a plain. It comes in different colors, but they
Okay.
were all sort of subdued, like heathered kind of styles.
Yeah.
It's just a gray hoodie sweatshirt, but around the hood, it's like has a little bit of embroidery
Yeah.
around it.
Okay. Considering that oh man, it's tough because it's like it's both plain, but I also know that the person was offended by the price.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a wild guess. I'm gonna say $80 $80.
Okay. $175.
For what? That's unreal to me. Okay, wow.
All right. So, and the last one.
Okay.
Now, this is an Aviator Nation.
Okay,
this is
cool.
a zip up, which is everything else we've looked at is the pullover style.
Sure.
Now, to me, this is just their classic 5-stripe.
Like rainbow.
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
because what I hear is that teenagers love this brand, Aviator Nation. But to me, as a slightly older person, I
Yeah.
think of this like in like mom category.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know this brand. I don't associate the brand with teens.
Yeah.
necessarily.
So I sort of, I mean, honestly, I always felt the same way about Lululemon. It was
Yeah.
like sort of for like a wealthy suburban mom, like sort of
Sure.
Real Housewives style. And so I'm a little, and then but that's really popular with
but it's
teens.
like, at what point does, I guess, the teen become influenced by the people in their own home?
I know,
You what
I
mean?
guess. Or it's just, or these brands have actually, I mean, I think successfully managed
Sure,
to
right.
hit more than one audience. I mean, I think Lululemon really successfully navigated being more than just like a yoga mom kind of
totally.
thing.
Yeah.
So Aviator Nation, I think of this as being like a mom brand, but
Yeah.
it's also really hot with kids. I think it's hot with Gen Z or whatever. If you've not seen this, it does have this very familiar stripe, kind of like a rainbow stripe across it. Guess on the price?
I've been inside of an Aviator Nation
Okay.
store, and
Uh-huh.
I thought that everything over there was overpriced. So and I didn't buy a single thing. I
Yeah.
did like the vibes, though. I like the whole like
Yeah.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 95. Oh my god!
189. It really, I mean, I feel very similarly. I remember once being in a store and seeing some Aviator Nation stuff, and I was like, ooh, this looks good. I
Yeah,
like this. This looks like a
exactly.
really soft hoodie. And
Yeah.
then seeing the price tag and being like, what did you do?
It gives like this like psychedelic
What?
70s at the beach vibe, and
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
that type of feel.
And
I
that-
just will not ever pay that much.
Yeah, and the sort of the fit of this is it's a little bit more tight.
Yeah,
the fabric
yeah.
is thinner, so it feels more like 70s
Yeah,
sort of.
exactly.
As opposed to but it's extremely
189.
expensive. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
189.
Okay, we need Casey back to explain this. Casey, why?
All right, so you
Okay.
got at least a few of these kind of clothes. So I think what we learned here is that there is a wide range of prices
For
when
sure.
it comes to sweatshirts.
And then I'm not buying any of them.
Me neither. AC, we've learned a lot about sweatshirts
So
today. We've learned that sweatshirts can be very expensive.
Absolutely.
We've learned that teens love sweatshirts. I mean, everybody loves sweatshirts.
Yeah.
I feel like the existential questions in my mind of like what ultimately drives one item to become a teen lust object and the other to not. I don't know if anyone will ever fully know the
100%.
answer to that math.
It's like there's a lot that you can see that happens. I mean, and by that you or we can see, Casey sees it more than anybody, but like there's a bit of luck involved too.
Yeah.
There's a bit of right time, right place. There's a bit of like it just has to catch on in the right way.
Right. And I think that like I don't know if you've ever tried to like get kids or teens to do something, but like
No, I don't think
it
so.
truly kind of has to come from them,
Sure,
right?
yeah,
like you
totally.
can market to them, but like you can't force like it. You can't shove it down their throats and it
Yeah.
works.
And maybe that's the interesting part about TikTok is that like while there are levers that you can pull, it still has to feel authentic. And like Casey was saying, the young consumer is smart. They're smarter than we were when we were 10, 11, 12, 13. You know what I mean? Like I'm not thinking that deeply about it. And maybe they aren't either, but they know what's false, you know?
Yeah. I
interesting.
think they know when they're being marketed to. but also like, I don't know, sometimes like you see a thing and your friends have it and you just want it.
Yeah, of course. Which in that case, that's a tale as old as time.
But it has to like, it has to snowball.
Yeah.
If anyone watching or listening is thinking about what to get the young person in their life for a birthday, a holiday, maybe just a chilly day where they need a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
I think you now have some options depending on what your budget is.
We've given you a range. And that's our episode for today. We want to thank our guest, Lily Balaisis, and also Casey Lewis, who's the author of the After School Substack newsletter.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our videos for more, and we'll see you soon.